Welcome everyone with the successful story today from Dubai City with Dr. Luiz Toledo. Welcome everyone with your program Pillars of Yuna, who invade the most successful story and person here in UAE today from Dubai City with Dr. Luiz Toledo. Welcome, doctor.
My pleasure.
We are so happy to meet you today.
Thank you.
So, doctor, in the beginning, we need to know more details about you to present you for everyone.
Okay. I am a Brazilian plastic surgeon who moved to Dubai. For the first time I came visiting in 2004, and then I moved here at the end of 2005. And in 2006 I brought my family from Brazil, and I've been working in Dubai as a plastic surgeon since then.
So, doctor, what you see in Dubai for the first time?
It was completely different from the Dubai that we see today. Dubai was starting this boom that happened 20 years ago, and it was still starting to construct. The Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid was still not the ruler when I came here. He started only in 2006. So it was a transition period in the life of Dubai, of the Emirate. And I was very happy to be part of this whole change that happened in the city, and happy to be here.
Yeah. Now, doctor, if I ask you about the person who helped you, who support you or in your life and successful story, who's this person?
Well, I started coming to the Middle East in 2001, especially to Saudi, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, and at that time we didn't have direct flights from Brazil, so we had to go through the UK or Italy or Amsterdam or London, and then we would come here. And I stopped in Dubai frequently when I went to Saudi, and then I stopped in Dubai, and I had friends here who would come to see my lectures in the United States. I used to lecture in the American Congresses for 15 years, and many plastic surgeons from all over the world would go there and take my lectures. And on one of these occasions I met a local plastic surgeon from Dubai, Dr. Numairi, who is no longer with us. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2013. But when I stopped here in 2005, he said, why don't you do an exam and then you can have a license here in Dubai? So the next time I came in September 2005, I did my exam here, and 1 month later they told me that I had been approved. And in December there was a problem with his family, and he had to leave his clinic to go to the United States. He called me and said, asked if I could come here and cover for him in his clinic for about 2 weeks, because he had too many patients to operate and he was not going to be in the country. So I came, and it was like 3 surgeries a day, every day for 2 weeks, and patients were very happy. And I went back to Brazil in December to spend Christmas with my family. And in January they called me again. They said, oh, he's still not back. So I came here again in January 2006. Then in February, March, And he only came back from the United States in April. Then in April, I told him what I had done in all these months, operated a lot here. And at the same time, I was keeping my clinic in Brazil. And I told him that these are the patients that I operated. I showed him all the cases that I did. And then he invited me to stay in his clinic working in partnership with him. Then it was a very difficult moment for my family. My children were at the time 12 and 15, my two girls, who lived in São Paulo with my wife. And then they had been in the same school for all their lives, in the British school in São Paulo. And for them to move to Dubai, it was a big decision. My wife agreed with me that it would be a good step for us to move to Dubai, but it took a little time to convince the children. And I was very lucky that in August, when they moved here to start the school, in August 2006, they liked the city, they had a nice life here. They ended up graduating high school, both of them, here in Dubai, and then went to London for university. The girls graduated in London, and now they have their own lives, one in London, one in Portugal. And here I am.
Doctor, if I ask you about the challenge of life from your side, what's your challenge from the beginning?
Well, I started early with the idea of being a doctor. I was 5 years old when I told my parents that I wanted to be a doctor. Probably because I used to go to doctors when I was very young as a patient, and I thought it was a good profession. And then my whole life was aiming to get into medicine. So the first challenge was to get into university in Brazil. This was a difficult thing at the time. I went to an exam with 5,000 other people, and I got into the university. Then after university, graduation is a different thing. And after graduation, you have to decide what you're going to do with your life. I was very lucky that on the 6th year of medicine, I met my professor of plastic surgery, and he liked me. I started helping him in his private clinic together with my residency. And then I developed this taste for plastic surgery, plastic and reconstructive surgery. So I spent like 8 years into this process of being training for aesthetic and plastic surgery. And in 1975, I opened my first little office, and then from there my practice grew. I stayed in a hospital operating cancer, skin cancer, for 10 years. And then I was married to my first wife, had my first son in the 70s. He's now 48 years old. And in the 80s, when I separated from my first wife, I was single for 3 or 4 years. And then I met my second wife. When I met my second wife, she's British, and my life changed in many, many ways. We had 2 children together, and we had to construct a new life in Brazil. It was always a big challenge to be a plastic surgeon in Brazil. Competition was very hard in Brazil for too many plastic surgeons there. But we managed to have a good life there. Brazil, for reasons that are well known, became a very difficult country to live in. In my last years in Brazil, we have to have armored cars to go out on the street. Violence was too heavy, and the house had those big walls, and everybody worried about kidnapping and being robbed on the streets. It was a very violent life. And with these 2 young girls, when I had the offer to move to Dubai, there was no doubt for me that this was a very safe country where I could raise my children in peace, leave the door of the house open, didn't have to worry about that, go to the supermarket, leave the key in the car without even impossible to think about that when you live in Brazil. So this was a big change, and for me, it was a big change to establish myself in a new country at an older age. So I had many challenges in my life. First to become a doctor, then to become a plastic surgeon, then to become well known in Brazil, and then internationally. Because when I moved to Dubai, I was already well known internationally. I was lecturing in the United States and in Europe. I used to make trips from Brazil like 14 times a year, to either to Europe or to the United States to teach. So when they invited me here, my career was already at the top. And then I came here to work and to teach. We started teaching many plastic surgeons here. I became part of the Emirates Plastic Surgery Society. We organized monthly courses for the local plastic surgeons. I organize international courses, inviting my friends from all over the world to come and lecture here. And then we did like 4 annual meetings while I was in the Society of Plastic Surgery. So this was a big thing for plastic surgery in the Emirates, and for people to come here and see Dubai and enjoy the life that we had here.
Doctor, if I ask you after this big experience here in UAE and all the world about the medical system in UAE, in Dubai, especially in your specialty, the plastic surgery.
When I moved here, plastic surgery, I would say it was in the beginning. We had about 60 plastic surgeons here in 2005. Today we have almost 300 plastic surgeons in the country. So it was a big evolution. We had only visiting doctors. They would not establish themselves in the country, apart from the local countries that come here, India and Pakistanis, but Iraqis, Egyptians. We didn't have many surgeons from other countries coming and establishing themselves here. They would come and visit, stay here for 3-4 days, and then move out. And this system was not very good. When I wanted to develop my practice here, I had to live here. And this is what made me different from the other surgeons, because I was here, I could do follow-up for my patients, I could do post-operatives. And it took a long time for the Department of Health to understand that this is a good thing, that in Dubai, we do not want people coming, visiting, staying here for 3 days and then disappearing and leaving problems for the local surgeons to take care of. So we have now many more surgeons who establish themselves here and less visitors. Although we still have many visitors, but it's not something that we want to have too much. We want to have people moving here. The system of, when you have a profession like plastic surgery, we're not only talking about technique, we have to talk about many products. In the United States, you have something like, it's called the FDA, which approves every technique, every product that you have to inject on a patient, you have to give to a patient, has to be approved by this big thing, Food and Drug Administration in the United States. At the time, we didn't have here. So we had many problems of doctors or even non-doctors injecting patients in 2005, 2006 with products that were not approved in any other countries. And I would send many messages to the societies, to the Emirates Medical Association. Please, I would like to know what is approved, what I can use and what I cannot use, because the companies come and sell everything, and the doctors will have to decide what's good for them. And we don't want to use this in a patient if we don't know if it's good or not. So now it's become a real Department of Health that screens all the doctors that want to work here. And we have meetings again with the new Society of Plastic Surgery, organizing congresses and meetings, and they are very good at teaching the young plastic surgeons how to behave.
Doctor, we can speak now like Dubai, it's tourism medical destination.
Yeah, well, this is one of the things that we wanted to create when we were in the society and I attended very meetings of the Dubai tourism, and we wanted to create a hub in Dubai for medical tourism. And for this, you must have hotels, you must have hospitals, you must have airport and trips from all over the place, which Emirates has, to bring the patients to Dubai. And we need post-operative care. It's not a simple thing. People will travel here, do a surgery, and then go back to their countries. It's a very risky situation for the patients. So we have to give them the best possible care while they're in Dubai. And now it has become very much easier to do medical tourism in Dubai because we have doctors that stay here all the time, not only visiting doctors.
Speaking about, doctor, the technology, now we use the technology in all the side of life. For the plastic surgery, we use the technology in this specialty or no?
It's a good thing in Dubai that it's very easy to get technology. One of the best things is English is spoken by 90% of the population. So that it makes it very easy for other companies to come here and bring all the advanced technology to this country. We have Out of Health, which has 40,000 doctors every January here, and the companies bring all the equipment, so we're very updated on whatever is happening in the world. As for techniques, we have our congresses, annual congresses, monthly meetings, and we know what's going on in the world. And people travel. Next week, I'm going to Istanbul to our ISEPS, which is the International Society of Plastic Surgery, which has a biannual meeting. I've been a member since 1983, and we have to keep in touch with what's happening in the world. And this is what we do when we go to a congress. We go there to learn and to teach. And this is happening next week in Istanbul. And we tried to bring this congress to Dubai, but it was very difficult because the congress only happens in the country of the president of the society. So if you're not the president, you cannot take the congress to the country.
Doctor, today after all this experience for you in this country and before coming for UAE, if I ask you about your successful story, the word success, how it means for you?
I think success can be measured in many different ways. Mm-hmm. Personal success in terms of being happy with what you do in your life, having a successful work, successful family, successful life, successful friends. This is one thing. The other thing is about money. If you're being paid enough to have the things that you want in life. I was very happy. I was never rich, but I was happy to be able to provide for my family here in Dubai. When I left Brazil, I was still owing money in Brazil. So when I lived in Dubai, I would send money home for 2 or 3 years to pay everything in Brazil and continue working here in Dubai. So success, I would say that I was successful here because first, I was happy with what I was doing. I was happy living here. I had friends here. The problem is that friends come and go. They don't stay here. You meet somebody and you become friends and they stay here with their companies, and then after a few years they fly back to their original countries. But I still have many local friends that I'm glad to say that I made friends with them during all this time, and I have the local patients. Because my clientele here is 40% local, which is the biggest part of my clientele. And I see patients from 170 countries now.
Exactly.
So it's a varied clientele that comes from all over the world.
Doctor, today from your side, we need a motivation message for the new generation of doctors. What can you say for him?
You have to study. You know, when I was in medical school, I thought that when I finished medical school, okay, now I know everything. I'm not going to have to study anymore. This is wrong. You have to study every day of your life, because if you stop studying, you go behind. You have to learn new things every day, and you cannot stop learning. Learning and teaching. When you teach, you learn. And this is what the life of a doctor and the life of a plastic surgeon. It's work, work, work. Wake up early and go to bed late. And work.
Doctor, now the message, it will be for UAE government and all the person who help you here in this country.
I've been very happy in the UAE in these 16 years that I've been living here. I met wonderful people, very interesting people, locals and foreigners that live here. And one of the important things, I met Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, and I thought he was a wonderful person and a very interesting man that I cherish his friendship very much. I haven't met Sheikh Rashid yet, but what I read about him and what I see on what he does on newspapers and on TV, I'm very impressed with what he did in the country in the last 20 years that he's been ruler. I think that locals in the UAE are very happy to be born here. This is one of the countries that take care of their citizens. I see that patients that come to me, when they need help from the country will give them help. Even if I'm in an aesthetic part of the plastic surgery, I know that whatever they need, the country will take care of them.
Dr. Luiz, we are so happy to meet you today, like a great example of doctors here in UAE. Thank you so much, doctor.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
So thank you so much, everyone. See you next week with Pearls of Funeral program. Bye-bye.